Tesla CEO Elon Musk has been on a selling spree of sorts. He sold another $1 billion worth of Tesla shares, according to a Tuesday filing. That stock's up more than 50% this year. It's not the best performing automaker, however. Take a look. Ford shares are up more than 130%. It is one of the best performing stocks in the S&P, more than doubling this year. Let's talk about that. But let's do Tesla first. Interesting, Seach. You bought Tesla, and you bought it fairly recently, too.
Yeah, I'm a little down on it, Scott. Listen, I think if you're buying Tesla, we did it more as a trade, right? We did it because it came down off its highs, and we believed that it was one of those stocks that could recover pretty quickly, especially if you think that they are successfully breaking into being an energy company. The opportunity is massive for them. So, we built a position there, more of a trading position. As you know, we talked about Ford earlier in the year, maybe one of the first shows of the year. It was down about $12. Sadly, we rode that train, but not all the way to the destination. We bought Ford in the 12 or 13 range, rode it up to probably the 17, 18 range, and then got off simply because we had such a big return in such a short period of time. But like this space, I think you have to be tactical.
Which Joe knows well about Ford. You still own it, though, Joe, right? You've been riding with Ford.
I do, Scott. I view it as more of a reliable way to play the potential market share of growth of EVs beyond Tesla. The F-150 coming out in the spring, indications are from Jim Farley and the team that there's very strong demand for it. The Mustang Mach-E recently coming to market, strong demand there as well. They're doing a great job just sourcing batteries, and the balance sheet is really in a very strong position as you move into 2022. So I would expect a lot of the supply chain challenges that Ford and GM and a lot of the traditional automakers are dealing with, ultimately that's going to begin to reside itself, and that's going to allow for the vision of the future, and a very strong vision for Ford, where they're participating in EVs, connected vehicles, and sourcing batteries. So I'm staying along this name. It's incredibly cheap on a valuation perspective.
Bryn, you play this a couple of different ways. We obviously note your ownership of the ARK funds, and Tesla obviously having such a big play there. But the LIT is the Global X Lithium and Battery ETF, which you own as well.
Sure. So we have an energy strategy, and LIT is 25% of that. So we have a lot of conviction around that. And I think on the show all year long and for the next few years, we're going to continue to talk about the electrification, not only of the grid, but within these EV companies. And I think that you can own Ford or GM or Rivian or those individual companies, and it's wonderful to see Ford, doing so well. It's such an iconic American brand, and I think Farley's doing a wonderful job there. But if you want to have meaningful exposure to all of the beneficiaries of the electrification, LIT, which is a diversified ETF, gives you exposure not only to companies like Tesla and Albemarle in the U.S., but give you exposure to Panasonic in Japan, which there's not an ADR here. You also get Samsung, as well as Contemporary in China. And once again, what I think is also important, when they buy their Chinese names, they buy the ordinary shares locally. And so you have those real shares. And so I think long-term, this is a secular trend. LIT gives us the highest probability to benefit from this move into EVs. And inside of that, once again, you own Tesla, but a host of other names that are the components of all of these car makers that you guys are all talking about.
Hey, Pete, be real quick here, but you no longer own a position in Rivian, correct?
Right. No, I got out of that. I think we talked about it on the show. But also, I'll just add real quickly, Scott, if you don't mind, the demand for copper is huge because of the EV space, and that is what's driving this. Take a look at what Freeport-McMoRan's been able to do. That's why I continue to roll options in there each and every week, or at least every month. I'm going in there and actively looking for more upside, because the demand of that for the EV space is absolutely incredible. And I think people have to keep a close eye on copper.